How do you know when to listen to mentors and when not to, or anybody?
I know when to listen. Like if it's a situation where I feel like I'm being a little bit too prideful and I need to take that aspect out of it and get a second opinion, that's when I know I need to listen. Like I need to take my personal feelings out of it, and I feel like I should just do my own thing when it's just a completely objective situation. It's just like, everybody's on equal ground, everybody's on equal standing. And, at that point, I'm always do what makes me happiest.
This is a world. This is a world for me. This is a world for me.
I done been through a whole lot. Trial, tribulation, but I know God. Satan wanna put me in a bow tie.
Introducing one of my closest friends. I know I say that a lot, but I do have a lot of close friends. This man is a lead designer, graphic designer for All Snap Media. He's also the former president of BSU. My brother, Halston Shannon. What's going on, man?
Pretty good, man. I'm just glad to be here.
I appreciate that, man.
I'm glad you invited me, man. I'm glad you think I'm important enough to be here.
Come on, man. You got All Snap. You got you just graduated going for your master's, right?
I got my master's.
Excuse me. He got his master's. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Well, you were one of the first people I was thinking of when I first put this together, because you are continuing to grow and continuing to better yourself. So I was like, yeah, I got to get my boy Shannon on here, man. So what you been up to, man?
Shout out to All Snap Media. Snap 3 just ended.
Ooh, Snap 3.
So I feel like I got my life back.
How was that?
Well, for me specifically, because of my job, I was all over the place. So, I was in charge of like the day of show and making sure like all performers were in place when they needed to be in place. So, imagine just like a venue full of people and you don't know where the artists are. So you find one, and you just got to go all over the place to find the next one.
They had you chasing out artists, man?
Yeah. So, I had to make sure they were in place, because you can't have one go up and then spend 20 minutes looking for the next one.
This is true. This is true.
That was quite a job. So, I was proud of myself in that sense. So I'm just glad. I'm glad it was a successful event. I'm glad it's over. So
that's the third one, right?
That's the third one. Snap. I don't know exactly when we're doing that one, but within the next year. So
yeah, All Snap continuing to get bigger and bigger, man.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about All Snap. Like, how did it kind of start?
It was 3 founders.
Okay.
So
run the founders.
I really hate you. I really hate this guy. It was 3 of us. We were all solo entrepreneurs at the time. It was myself, Frank, and Kareem at the time. So you know me. I was a graphic designer for 2 years prior to that, just on my own, doing my own thing. And, my clientele was basically majority FAU. All of us were majority FAU. And then, Frank was also, doing his thing with positive visuals. Kareem was doing his thing with Irie Expressions, I believe. I don't know if you remember that.
No, yeah, for sure.
And then, I remember exactly, clear as day, just vividly, I remember this was like soon after I joined AK Psi. So I feel like it was just meant to be at that point. A part of why I joined AK Psi was just, I wanted to better myself, I was graduating, I was trying to better myself as a professional. So it made all the sense. So after joining AK Psi fall 17, went on winter break. And then one day, Frank just texted me.
That boy,
Frank. How Frank hit you up.
What?
He'll be like, he'll hit you with the like 5 dots, and he'll be like, what's good, and dot. And he'd be like, yo, I gotta talk to you. And I was just like, what's up? He was just like, me and Kareem been talking, we trying to we trying to do something bigger than something that's bigger than us. And, I was just like, y'all, I had my general questions. I was just like, so do you mean, I was prideful at the time. I'm not even gonna lie. I was just like, so you mean you want me to?
What you trying to do?
What you trying to do? You mean I gotta drop my own thing and then allow y'all to take credit for something I created? I was actually asking questions like that, because at the time I was really big on like, I made this. That's like the beauty of All Snap. We dropped, our individual thing. We dropped our individual pride, put it to the side to create something bigger than ourselves. So.
Right. What's y'all motto? Go
far, go together.
Ooh, yeah. I love that.
And
man.
The reason I personally love that is because, go far, go together applies to so many things, not just what we do. So I feel like that's why a lot of people support us. So, and whatever you do in life, you gotta literally, it takes a village. Yeah. So that's how All Snap came together. And then, Frank, he sold me on it, and, the vision and everything.
That boy
like
Frank, a car salesman.
He's
a car salesman,
a finesser. Obviously, we didn't start. You didn't just hop into business right away. You had to have your vision meetings. You had to have the meetings where you created the business plan. We had to create the logo. We set up the foundation first before we launched. So that took like a good month. But we founded January 1st, 2017, launched February 1st, 2017. And then from there, the rest is history. 3 snaps later.
Jeez, 3 snaps. Oh, I like that. Yeah. 3 snaps later.
I didn't do that on purpose.
Man.
I'm actually proud of myself.
Where did you guys come up with the name Snap? Like All Snap? Like,
sometimes I wish people actually could see how many ideas and what the ideas were prior to landing on All Snap.
The clap.
So,
the jump.
I'm going to act like you didn't say that. I remember that we were just throwing different ideas just off the top of our head in the group chat. And then Frank came with All Snap. everything else up until it was like, and then Frank dropped All Snap, and we was just like, that's it.
That's it.
That is it.
And
because
you definitely know the moment. Like everybody has that moment.
Everybody you know, and I know, we all use the term snapped or you snapped. You did that. We was just like, that's such a common term amongst the people we know, and we can introduce that term to people that aren't too familiar with it. Because it's a great story to tell when anyone asks us, how did you come up with that name? Every time we explain it, they'd be like, wow, that's very clever. So we have a great name, it was very clever. And it's just like, and it just aligns with the slogan, go far, go together, all.
Right.
So
all snap. We all snapping
so
together.
That's how it came to be. And, definitely a great decision of mine. I'm glad I wasn't too prideful and just said, forget y'all and did my own things.
Right. Because that's a very powerful thing. And it's like a leap of faith even.
Yeah.
Like because you've been working hard. I know like you put in your time, putting your like 10,000 hours developing your craft, and then this guy comes to you and say, actually, I want to kind of take a piece of what you're doing and bring it to this organization.
Exactly. So it was,
man.
No, it definitely.
That's a leap of faith.
You can ask Frank yourself. I didn't even reply right away. I probably took an hour or two to reply.
You gave him that red.
You can even ask Ashanti.
That red message.
You can ask Ashanti. Like I actually screenshotted Frank's text and sent it to Ashanti and asked Ashanti, "What do you think?" And Ashanti was just like, "Yeah, bro, go for it." And then I was just like, "Okay, this is someone close to me that said go for it, so I'm gonna go for it." And then, so I'm glad I actually didn't act on instinct, because if I acted on impulse, I wouldn't be a member of All Snap right now. So that's just keeping it real.
That's big, man. Like that. Now I'm seeing that a lot as I'm doing these interviews. Everybody's like coming together. Everybody's they find somebody else, and that person finds somebody else, and they kind of just make a group, and then they individually get better and get better and get better, and it just becomes a whole little like wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ever since then, I've become a better designer. It's something I definitely won't regret. Like I learned so many different things about the field and just about media in general, because obviously I knew of great photographers and videographers, but working with them, I'm actually able to see what goes into it. Became a better designer. I got some insight into what goes into the other two fields that exist in the company, and you just meet so many different people from other fields. Like I met so many models since then. You meet so many different artists of all kinds and performers just from planning the snap itself. So I just love what we're doing. So as long as we just
making
keep
a wave,
brainstorming and keep networking,
definitely you guys are making a wave, man, making a wave, and that's what it's about, making that wave.
Yeah, my brother just commented that I'm ugly. I'm glad. That's a great confidence booster. It's a great confidence booster as I
thanks, bro. Man, so like how is your family like supporting you in this whole process of you?
My immediate family.
Immediate family.
Well,
right.
I remember how it went, exactly how it went. They didn't really. Well, my brother was always behind it, like since day one. But like my parents, it was a different story, because when I founded All Snap, I was in my senior year, so all they cared about was just like graduate and get your job. So I told my mom about All Snap, right away, and then she just said, that's nice, but did you turn that assignment? Like it just conversation quickly changed. So they started asking more about All Snap and started getting more interested in it. Once I got that out the way, obviously there was still my master's that came after, but once I got the bachelor's out the way, they were just like, okay, we'll open ourselves up a little bit more to the other things you got going on in your life, because obviously first priority has always been school in my life. So, and they're completely behind it. They love the hats that they love the apparel. They always see me coming around with different apparel all the time, and they love the name, the logo, and everything about it. So they just glad to see me happy and doing something with people that
are very supportive.
Yeah, they're very supportive. So
that's good, because without your family support, it's just that much harder, man. It's just another obstacle you have to overcome.
And I'm always coming home late on Mondays and Wednesdays, so and they know I work the next day. And normally, if it were for any other reason, they'd be like, why are you coming home late so often? Like you got work the next day. But on Mondays and Wednesdays, they understand, got to put the work in to the company, and it takes some late nights. So
yeah, trying to build something bigger. Yeah. It just takes those late nights, that extra work. I mean, you can work for somebody like at a company all your life, but you're never gonna get a piece of that company. Like if you have your own kind of side hustle, and you grow that side hustle into another company, then I mean that's how you build wealth.
Have something to be proud. Yeah, something to be proud of. So,
right.
I'll always be able to say, I helped create this.
Even when you like have your kids, when All Snap makes that leap and becomes even bigger, you can even like give them a little piece, like, hey, do this, and make a little side money. How do you make your circle? Like, what are some characteristics to be around you? Like that energy. What type of energy would you say you attract?
I just use Man Look as an example, truly.
What's
because
Man Look?
Group of clowns. So it's like, you got to be
A group of idiots.
a group of idiots, different kinds of idiots. But no, just people that are very positive, people that are like able to clown all day, but they on their grind too. So, that's Man Look in a nutshell. So, whatever it is that you got going on, whatever it is that I got going on or whatever it is that you got going on, you don't ask questions. You just be like, yo, if that makes you happy, then, I'm all for it. It's just, and people that are just real, like there's no, what you see is what you get. Like, you're not trying to put on an act. I want to feel, because one thing about me, I don't trust people at first. You know how I am when I first meet people.
Right, quiet,
very
reserved.
closed off. And it's not because I'm shy. It's just because I got to see, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself before I give you any more. So
Can't give anybody energy they don't deserve because you only have a certain amount of it.
I just like hanging around, in general, the biggest thing, I just like hanging around genuine people. That's like the biggest thing. So
Yeah. You got to keep that energy around you because if you put people around you who take your energy and never give you anything, you're just going to feel drained all the time.
yeah.
I always feel like you can't do extra. You need those people around you that's going to hype you up and that you can see also doing their own thing.
And people that know when to humble you too. So Man Look will be great.
Humble you in a
Man
second.
Look will call you, will tell you ugly on top of you great, all in the same breath. So
Right. That they definitely, because I'm also a member of Man Look for those of you guys that don't know. But I've never been around a group of people who you can be on like 100. You can be doing everything good. And they'll pick out like, oh, your shirt wrinkled.
Exactly.
They're going to pick out the littlest things.
Exactly. They're going to ask you where you got them shoes from.
Exactly.
They're going to tell you got no tape. So
Brush your hair.
exactly. So
And I know the main culprit is Jordan
Exactly.
for sure. The main culprit is
I
Jordan
definitely
for
know
sure.
you got to get right when you're around Jordan.
Oh, for sure.
The most vocal one by far. He's the opposite of me.
Well, I would say definitely like you've changed over, and maybe that goes to what you just said, how at first you might be a little bit reserved, you want to see what a person is going to give you first.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, you definitely have turned into
definitely
like
opened.
almost a different person, a totally different Halston.
Definitely opened up.
Would you say that?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of it was intentional and some of it was just exposure to different things, but certain things were intentional.
How like what drove you to that transformation?
Well, I think I remember like when I graduated, the biggest transformation honestly came after I graduated, and it was just funny, and that's not always the case for a lot of people. A lot of people go through their changes
while they're in college,
those 4 years, and then what you got at that point is what you got. But and I left FAU. I was just like, I had a successful time here, but I just felt like there was still so much more I didn't give people. And everybody had this idea, like everybody, if you ask anybody around campus what is Halston, like it was always just quiet guy. He does his thing with design. Great. He was a great asset to people.
He got the flyers. He got them flyers for you.
He was a great asset to anything he joined and anything of that nature. But anytime I see him, he's really closed off. And then, something I don't want to say it bothered me, but something that I noticed over the years was just like people, when it came to like, going out, having fun and, just being a jokester and just being silly like that, people didn't expect that out of me. And then anytime I showed it, like every now and then people would be like, whoa. Like, you got that too? And then, so that, that just, I don't want to say I felt like I had to prove anything to anybody about having like, more than my personality than what I showed those 4 years. But, I just wanted to, open up more. So,
right.
Yeah, I didn't want to be so like standoffish to the point like people just like think you're just like a robot. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, people have to get to know you, honestly.
Yeah.
People have to get to know you. I mean, you can't just come up to somebody and expect everybody to be all like friendly and stuff like that. You have to kind of ease into it.
That's where the modeling thing came from. That's where, I definitely post more on my social media.
What modeling thing? Wait a second. What are you talking about? You model?
Instagram. My guy.
Oh, yeah. Drop your Instagram real quick for the people.
_Halston _.
Ooh.
I didn't say 2 underscores. I said double underscore.
Double underscore because, it's real like that. We're professional around here.
Exactly. But, working for a media company, that made it go hand in hand, too. I was just like, started dressing better. I'm always around cameras, so
perception.
I was like, might as well. So
your whole career, your whole sector of business is all about making things look a certain way and perception. So it makes sense. What made you get into designing and things like that? Like, what made you get into it, and what made you stay with it?
I got in. Well, my first introduction to design in general was actually high school. I took a graphic design elective my junior year, and at that point in time, I knew I was a creative guy. I remember. Prior to design, I was considering architecture, engineering. So
I can definitely see you doing that.
Yeah,
For
I was
sure.
always gonna go. I always knew I was gonna go into a creative field. I just didn't know yet. But took that elective my junior year, and then the rest was history from there. I was just like, yeah, I can stick with this. And I knew it was something I could turn into a business venture eventually too if I wanted to. Like architecture, you can, but difficult. And,
It's kind of tough.
Yeah, so it's just especially heading into college with surrounded by so many different people that need that kind of work and so many orgs. It was just like
It only makes sense.
yeah, it just all made sense. It all came together, and I knew I was gonna be very involved myself. So I was gonna use anything I joined to like really get myself out there. So that was my introduction to it. High school, got to FAU, joined PBM, joined BSU. Everything.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. And
So was there like a defining moment where you're like, oh, this is what I do? Like, oh, this is me. Was there ever a defining
that's
moment
great
like that?
question. That's a great question. I knew I arrived. I would say I knew I arrived.
You arrived. Okay.
I arrived.
Talk your shit, Halston.
Yeah.
Talk your shit.
I'll say I knew I arrived once. Like I didn't have to tell people I charge. People would hit me up and be like, "How much you charge?"
Ooh, that's the difference.
You know you arrived.
That's a
It was like,
different
this dude's
different
quality
level.
is so good that he
Yeah.
must charge. That's when I knew I was just like, yeah, I got to stick with this.
How long did it take to get to that point from like I guess that high school elective to that point? Like how long? What was the time span?
From high school elective to business.
So where people were like, oh, how much you charge? How much that thing costing, man?
I'll say people started hitting me up probably like junior year.
Junior year. So that's
People knew I did it sophomore year, but like actually came to me. I was just like, yo, I need your services junior year. So
what is that, like 4 or 5 years?
I was 15, 16. So like 4. Yeah.
4 years
4
of
years.
putting in work. God
Yeah.
dang.
So 2 of those years were spent by myself, and then 2 years were spent with the last 2 years were spent with all snaps. So it's been definitely never imagined. I definitely never imagined I'd be doing all of this because, like I said, it was a hobby. I was just it was just a way to an outlet for me to just be creative. So just from because you remember the name my solo was called Honest Art at the time. So I never imagined I'd be doing my own thing. I never imagined I'd be working alongside other people that are in other industries. So, I'm just, I'm blessed. Shout out to Parrish too. That's like the person.
Parrish?
That's the person I learned from I don't want to say I took his style, but he showed me what a great designer is supposed to look like. And then he showed me the basics, and he was just like, yo, you don't got to be like me. You have your own eye, your own creativity, but these are the basics. Take it and then do your own thing, and then now you can say we're neck and neck. So,
would you consider him like your first mentor, or
when it came to design, design for sure.
Have you had any other mentors after that, or was that kind of like your first one, and you kind of?
I mean, when it came to a mentor in general, or just creativity, like creative wise?
I guess you can, any mentors.
I had people. There's only one person I consider a mentor.
Okay,
that's my older brother. But I would say, even though, I only consider one person a mentor, because when I think mentor, I think someone you consistently go to get
that relationship
insight. So I only consider one person like that. But I would say throughout college, there was plenty of people that like I admired, like I looked up to, people that like I definitely thought had great things going for themselves that, I felt like I could ask them anything and get great, information about whatever. So there was people like Tay,
Tay.
Shout
out to Tay. Suits for Seniors.
That was
Big bro Tay.
PB and Big. I hated him at first, but you had to come around to somebody like Tay.
Right.
Yeah, but
somebody's gonna push you.
There's the people, even the people in Man Look, all the respect in the world to, Jordan, Devin, these guys that were just like leaders on campus during the same point in time that I was, we had that period of time we were all president of whatever, all at the same time. So
yeah.
Shout out to class 3.
Shout out to class 2 first, but okay.
Crickets.
But for real though, like, how do you know? One thing I contemplate a lot is how do you know when to listen to mentors and when not to? When they try to give you advice.
I know when to listen. Like if it's a situation where I feel like I'm being a little bit too prideful and I need to take that aspect out of it and get a second opinion, that's when I know I need to listen. Like I need to take my personal feelings out of it, and I feel like I should just do my own thing when it's just a completely objective situation. It's just like, everybody's on equal ground, everybody's on equal standing. And, at that point, I'm always do what makes me happiest. So
right.
I might listen to you, I might not.
So you're saying if somebody's kind of like on the same level as you, you're gonna take your I'm
gonna take my approach over yours.
Right.
But if it's like, Halston been tripping for a while, and Halston doing the same thing, so clearly something's not working. Let me stop being Halston right now and go
something that I'm doing is not working, so I need to try something else.
Yeah, so that's how I balance the two. So mentors are good, but you have to have a mind of your own every now and then.
Because eventually you want to go past your mentors.
Exactly.
And you can't be better than somebody
And you
doing
want
the
to be a
exact
mentor
same
to
thing they're
someone
doing.
else at some point. So,
Right.
Yeah.
You want to keep growing and develop your own voice, because if you just speaking with somebody else's voice, you're probably not going to be better than them or even close, because they're already doing that thing.
Exactly.
So it's definitely your master's. So you're looking at about like 70-hour week. What's going on?
If you just hopped into that, that would have been like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Because
something that just came up, and I think it was on a Breakfast Club. They were talking about, in a marriage, do you think that the two people should be independent or they should be dependent on each other? What do you think?
Independent.
You think independent?
Independence.
Why do you say that?
I mean,
Because the argument is
I wouldn't know.
the argument is when you're in a marriage, like you're two halves to one whole. Like you guys are, you
like
make up one person.
The way I always thought about it is like y'all should both be independent, but y'all should both be independent, but always think about that other person while you're making the decisions that you make. So you should be independent together. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Independent with that person in mind.
Yeah, independent with that person in mind.
I like that.
Dependent on you. That's like me saying, like, you know, I can't make this decision. I can't make this certain move, you know.
But isn't that kind of what marriage is? No? Like, you're not just going to go off and just...
I'm going to use my parents as an example.
Okay.
So it's like, say if I got in trouble in school or whatever.
Okay.
And, you know, my mom's immediate reaction would probably be like, okay, I'm going to ground you for however long. Her immediate reaction would probably be, I'm going to ground you for however long. But before she do that, consult with him. Be like, what do you think? And then they're going to combine brains and be like, okay, this is what it is. So it's just like, you know, have your own opinion, but like just include theirs too before you just hop to conclusion. So that's how I think about it. But just, I feel like a dependent situation would be like, okay, my son just got in trouble. Let me see what my husband thinks. But it's like, you need to have a mind of your own.
Right.
That's my whole logic.
So it sounds like you're saying to develop your own perspective
identity,
first, your own identity.
Identity, and then, you know, bring it together.
But on that note, I want to thank you for coming out to the podcast. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you again.
No problem. Thank you for having me.